Welcome everyone to the OBLES brainstorming session on Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. I want to welcome everybody that is joining us on the Zoom and on the YouTube channels tonight. My name is Jean Oliva, and I am here on behalf of Chris Johnson, who could not join us tonight. He is experiencing some health challenges, so we ask for everyone for your prayers and your good thoughts for his total well-being so that he can get back in the saddle again and join us once more. I would like to thank all of the people who are helping out with tonight's meeting, my co-hosts Lynn Nakamoto, Marty DeGarmo, the chat guardians John Barilla, Listra Tuick, Casey Zevenbergen, David Rosalski. Have I forgotten anyone, John? I hope I haven't forgotten anyone there. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much. And then our next thing is I want to introduce fellow founder Gemma Rameke, who once again has—
You're doing okay. Did you get Listra?
I think I did. I did. And I think I pronounced it correctly too. Listra Tuick, is that correct? Awesome, awesome. So I want to introduce fellow founder Gemma Rameke, who has once again found an amazing set of guest speakers for us for this OBLES brainstorming session. Gemma, if you want to unmute your mic and come on and say a few words about who you brought here tonight and the topics maybe they're going to be talking about.
Hello, everyone. I can't seem to get my photo on screen at all. I don't know what happened to it. Can you guys see me?
I don't see you. I see your name.
I tried getting it on, but it just disappeared.
I tell you what, do we want to push forward?
Yes, I do. That's okay.
That
okay.
Would be great. Thank you.
I would like to introduce my sister, Donna Maria Gray from Jamaica, and her fellow colleague, Dr. Blair. They both are doctors at the Mandeville Hospital in Jamaica, and I will let them tell you what they do there. There you go, Dr. Gray.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this experience. It is a great privilege, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you and telling you a little bit about what is happening in Mandeville, Jamaica. Is everyone hearing me clearly? And is everyone hearing me clearly? That's the most important thing. Can I have some response?
Yes, it sounds great. I wasn't sure if you could see our thumbs up, but you sound great. Proceed.
Awesome. So thank you, Gemma. My name, as she said, is Dr. Donna Marie Gray Henry. I am a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist at the Mandeville Regional Hospital. I think that's what you'd call an attending. I think attending would be what you would be the equivalent in America. I don't know what it would be like in Canada. So I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist. Dr. Orville Blair is also on the platform, but he's really there as a support for me. He's actually the head of the department, but I'm the one that's going to be telling you a little bit about what's been happening at Mandeville Regional Hospital. So Gemma tells me that there are many Jamaicans on the platform, but for those who are not Jamaicans, just to say that the Mandeville Regional Hospital, Jamaica is a small island in the Caribbean, and Mandeville Regional Hospital is in the parish of Manchester, which is pretty much in the center of the island, both lengthwise and widthwise. So we think it's a great location. We're close to the beach, an hour and a half from the beach in any direction. Mandeville Regional Hospital is a very critical hospital because of its location right there in the center of the island. And we serve a population of about 700 persons. The OBGYN department delivers about 3,500 ladies each year. And we also have a gynecology clinic, which looks after all of our patients. The hospital has about 226 beds, which I know doesn't sound like a lot compared to your huge hospitals in Canada and America, but we're pretty much always 100% occupied. We often have patients in our accident and emergency room waiting on trolleys, trying to get beds. Getting our patients in is always a problem. So it's not uncommon to see an occupancy of 110%. I mean, we've had, pregnant ladies sitting on chairs because we're so full. But I wanted to tell you about some of the projects that we're working on. We are always wanting to offer our patients better and better care. Even though we are in a resource-challenged environment, we want to give our patients the very best care that we can. And one of the projects that we have been working on is trying to establish a colposcopy unit. Now, a colposcopy unit is used to detect and treat cervical cancer. And we have in Jamaica quite a high risk of cervical cancer, a high rate of cervical cancer, and our cancers tend to affect young women and tend to be quite aggressive. The ideal way to detect cervical cancers is by doing pap smears. And then once you have an abnormal pap smear, the next step should be a colposcopy, which is like a microscope, and then a biopsy. Our problem is that we have the pap smear, but then we don't have the colposcopy and the biopsy. And so that hinders the way in which we can treat our ladies. We have for literally years. Before COVID, we've been trying to establish a colposcopy unit. We've been trying to buy the colposcope. We've been trying to buy the things that are needed, and we just have not managed to be able to do so. We are able to do biopsies, but in order for us to do a biopsy, we have to take the patient to the operating theater and do a cold knife biopsy. A cold knife biopsy is not what you should be doing. It's much more dangerous to the patient. It has much more side effects and much more long-term ill for the patient. And also you just can't do as many. So the number of patients that you can look after is much reduced. So our dream is to be able to offer our patients a much better method of assessing early cervical cancers, to pick up the cancers early, treat them early, and to save lives by so doing. Another project that we're working on is that we're always wanting to improve the care on our maternity ward. As I mentioned, we have some 3,500 deliveries a year. We have 30 beds. We have 4 chairs, reclining chairs. And sometimes we have moms that spend the entire night on the chair because we are out of beds. But the need that the project that I wanted to tell you about today speaks to resuscitating babies when they're born on our labor ward. So before I came to speak to you today, I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist, but I had a conversation with my pediatric colleagues because clearly I'm the supply side of the chain when it comes to the pediatrics department. I am producing the babies in my department that end up, some of them in the pediatric, in the NICU, in what we would call the NICU. And I said to them, what would be the thing, what would be the thing that you think would help us to do the best for our babies? And they said to me that we have a really tiny, absolutely postage stamp resuscitation room on our maternity ward. So when our patients are delivered, and by the way, they each have a cubicle, not a room. We have 8 delivery beds that are separated by curtains. You're not in your own room, you have a curtain space. And then we have a tiny room where we resuscitate babies that need to be so resuscitated. So if the baby comes out happy and bouncing, you're good to go. But occasionally, you're going to have a baby that needs to be resuscitated, and that baby goes to our little resuscitation room. The equipment in that room is not up to scratch. We don't have a pediatric vital signs machine, something that can measure the blood pressure and the pulse rate and the oxygen saturation of the newborn babies. And my pediatric colleagues said that that is something that they felt was very important and that we lacked. We also do not have a CPAP, a bubble CPAP machine in that room. And what that is it's a very gentle, I'm going to call it quote unquote ventilator. A ventilator is a much more powerful device, but for little preemies, you actually want to start with the most gentle thing necessary that will work. So a bubble CPAP machine is the first sort of respiratory support that you give for a prem. And we often will have babies that pop out, we weren't expecting them till next month or the month after. So they're little prems, and we have to resuscitate them in that little tiny room before we take them down to the pediatric department. But that little room is not equipped to the degree that would support. So my pediatric colleague tells me that, we are having some success with our little tiny babies, but of course, right now it is really against the odds. So we had a little prem that was only 650 grams that went home, and that was quite miraculous because, normally we're not able to have a good result in such a tiny baby, but we're doing our very best and we want to continue to do better and better. So I think I'll stop there and see if you have any questions or that I can answer.
Well, Dr. Gray Henry, that is amazing, and you've really come to the right place. I don't know if Gemma has explained to you what the OBLES platform is going to be like, but it's going to be a completely free platform where you can put all of these projects on the platform, describe what's needed, and then you can have, millions of people around the world supporting it. And I do have a couple questions just initially to ask you, if that's okay.
Certainly.
Yeah, in the projects that you've mentioned, the colposcopy unit,
Yes.
the bubble CPAP machine, and the vital signs machine, I think those were three specific things that you mentioned needing beyond larger rooms, more beds.
Yes.
Have you started to put a number on how much money you might need to get those things?
So I have numbers for the colposcopy machine, because we've been working on that, like I said, for many a year. And our most recent estimate that comes from a supplier in Jamaica is 14,000 US. Now, yes, that we actually have a, an invoice in hand, and that would provide us with the colposcopy machine itself, as well as the other things you need, like a smoke evacuator and all the other safety equipment and all the other little bits and pieces that you need to actually effect the service. Because one of the challenges we have is that sometimes you have the machine, but then you don't have the various attachments that you need, and so you still can't look after the patient. So that quotation of $14,000 included some amount of startup equipment, like at least enough that you could get going.
Oops, am I unmuted? Well, I think I can speak for everyone here and say that is very doable. That is a very doable number.
Wow.
When we move forward, well, if you imagine, it's the power of numbers, right? OBLES is a crowdfunding platform. So like I said, we are starting with over 1 million founders. If everyone gave $1, that's $1 million. Now, there are many projects, so it's not like, it's just, but if you have, all you need to do is get the word out and present all of these wonderful details. I would start to, maybe start to draft up something where you have all the specific needs, renewable things, like if it needs extra, pads or fluids or something. I don't know these machines, but you would want to list all that out so people have a really clear idea of what they're
Right.
contributing to and why they're
Absolutely.
contributing to it.
Yeah.
And these are what, I mean, this is just wonderful because and I think we're so excited because we will be able to do this. Now, I don't want to take up all the time. So I'm wondering, Gemma, did you have any questions, or anybody else that's on the panel here? If you want to raise your hand, if you have a question for Dr. Gray Henry. Oops. All right. Marie Pendy, what's your question? I've just asked you to unmute. Are you able to unmute, Marie?
You just did.
Excellent.
I was just curious when I heard Dr. Donna Marie Gray Henry. Hi, doctor. Good to see you
Hi there.
here. I was just curious hearing when you presented the colposcopy, that you were building the colposcopy unit, and you quoted a $14,000 estimate. When you say you're building a colposcopy unit, is it like how many stations would you have in your colposcopy unit? Would you be able to, like, say if you had a GYN or OBGYN, like 3 of them came, they wanted to treat 3 patients. Is your unit designed so that procedures are taking place in each of the units, or is it just one unit?
So,
I was trying to figure out your layout of
Yes.
your unit.
Thank you so much for that question, because for us, it would be just so amazing just to have one room for our patients. Because remember, at the moment, we have none. So for us, $14,000 is just one station. It's just one room. Yes, if you had 2, you could treat twice as many patients, and you could be doing different things in different rooms. This is something that has never occurred to us because it has never been feasible. But you are absolutely correct that one suite is actually the minimum. One room that is equipped so as to be able to treat one patient is the minimum. So this allocation is simply for one machine to treat one patient at a time. But for us, it will be an infinite improvement on having none. But if wishes were horses, then certainly if you were able to have even 2, then it means that you could be doing different things. You could be doing, for example, screening in one room and treatment in another room.
And recovery from the procedure in one room, or at least 1 or 2 rooms, patients recover after their treatment, while others are being consulted or prepared to go to the next room for their treatment. So I was just trying to figure out your $14,000 that you're guesstimating. Was it for just one unit or for a few units, and the spaces that each patient would need?
So it's just for one. It's just for one unit, and we would house this unit either in our outpatient clinic or in our operating theater. So we would utilize our operating theater as a day procedure unit in this situation, or we have in the past explored putting it in our outpatient department. But the cost that I described was really just for the equipment for one station.
Thank you. That's all.
All
I
right.
wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marie, that was a wonderful question. Thank you so much for that. And I love seeing and hearing the excitement in your voice, Dr. Gray Henry, because we've all been through this. we all joined on passive with that sort of, could this really be true? And now that we know it's true, we're starting to dream bigger, think bigger, plan bigger, join together on projects. It's very, very exciting. Okay, next we have Engineer Mike with a question. Can you unmute yourself, Michael?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you, our leaders.
Hi there.
Thank you, Dr. Donner, for your explanation. The details were very, very touching. So healthcare is that situation in the world that makes people go crazy because, I mean, the costs are very expensive for treatment. And that is something that we should be taking into consideration because we are getting into a new stage in our lives that will be able to have that financial assistance that we can assist so many people. And that is hence the creation of our CEO created a platform, Obless. That is why we are here today talking about how we can brainstorm to help people around the globe. So, Dr. Donner, here you were talking about the some of the procedures, right? The procedures for the how they call it, evaluation of a patient, okay, for cervical cancer and things like that. You talk about the pap test. Then you went ahead and said there is no enough like materials or whatever to continue the other sections of the test. So which means that to evaluate a patient completely, it is we don't go to the end of it, which means maybe we end it halfway because shortage of materials. That is very risky, right? Is that
It's
risky?
not. It's suboptimal. It is not ideal. It's not ideal. It's not what we want, and that is why we have been trying to improve this situation for, oh my goodness, I don't think at least 10 years we have been trying to establish a colposcopy unit. We have a room, but there's nothing in the room. So we know that what we're doing is not ideal. We have been trying to use what we have. So we have been trying to circumvent and to use what we have. We do have a main operating theater and we can do biopsies, but we can't do what is ideal. We can't do, I mean, some of our patients are young women and you should really not be doing a knife cone. A knife cone means you cut out a piece of the lady's cervix. There is a part, it's possible that she will have issues later on with scarring, with loss of pregnancies. There are complications that she can have. So we are aware that the treatment we're giving is not ideal for this patient, but it has so far been the best that we could do. But we long for the day that we can do better.
Okay, Dr. Donner. So which means it's something we're still working on, but because of the lack of financial assistance and finances, it cannot be completed like we started, like you said, 10 years ago, right?
Correct.
Okay. So are you people associated to OnPassive in any way? Do you have like an account in OnPassive?
Do we have an account in where?
In OnPassive with our company. You have one?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No.
So Dr. Donner, I will give your hospital a founding account, okay?
Okay.
So you will give your details to Jane Oliver.
Okay.
Or to Gemma. Gemma have my contacts. They will contact me and I'll give you people an account to your hospital. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Dr. Gray, Henry,
Yes.
that's quite a beautiful gift. We know the value of the founder account. It's essentially benefiting from the automatic business tools. It's a lot I can't explain it all now, but it's essentially allowing you to, over time, have residual income to
Wow.
assist your projects, along with some other wonderful things. So it is quite a gift. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you very
Engineer
much.
Mike.
Thank you.
I'm excited. I'm excited that you're going to be a founder, because you are exactly the type of person that that positive attitude of, I don't have everything I need, but I'm going to make do with what I have, and I'm going to make it the best for my patients. And that creativity and that determined and positive attitude is exactly the type of people that we want on this grand movement that we're on. So
Thank you very much.
All right, Bruce Gerstein, come on down.
Hello and hello, Dr. Donna Marie.
Hello.
It's very nice to hear you. I've been to Mandeville. And
Oh,
Mandeville
awesome.
was the first place, my first experience there was the first time I had green banana porridge.
Oh, yes.
The man, what is porridge? I never heard porridge. And he said, you come on, porridge. No, I don't know. He goes, oh, cereal, man, cereal. Oh, okay. But it was delicious. But I love Jamaica.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's a beautiful country. It is still a third world country. No matter how you see it, Jamaica is third world. So when you were speaking, all I could think was that there is much more to the story than just the one machine. There's many needs that you have in this hospital. It sounds like you need a lot of funding for the hospital to really be efficient. And what Engineer Mike has told you, he wants to give you a position which will help you get the funds, to help raise funds to make it into a very, very effective hospital that can help many people in Jamaica. And
This is awesome. Well, I think I'm struggling to really just appreciate it. It seems so amazing and incredible.
Well, you will understand the blessings that you have just by you being here.
Thank you so much.
You can always say that there are no mistakes in God's kingdom. So there's no mistake that you're here today to hear about something that could really be an answer to a situation that seems almost, almost impossible to fix. But it's not, because with us, our CEO, Ashma Farah, says, think bigger, dream bigger. I always say, the dreams are free, so dream as big as you want. Oh,
that's amazing. I always say that too, that dreams are free.
They are. So now you have a blessing put upon you. And so when you accept this gift, you're going to find that the whole world opens up to everything that your heart wants to do in terms of helping people there. And I bless you, and I think you're a very powerful woman. You're very clear on your desire to help. And I really commend you on all that you are trying to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much. Thank you so much. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what can happen.
I'm excited for you. We're all excited for you.
And Gemma will be able to explain more. I'm not sure how you met Gemma, or but she can also, I can explain absolutely, and Gemma can share with you what's involved in that. So it's clear. Okay, Dr. Benny Tinglet, come on down with your question.
Hi there.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Jenny. I want to welcome each and everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to my brothers and sisters on this amazing webinar in different parts of the globe. Dr. Donna Gray, Dr. Donna Marie, exceptional presentation. I noticed that about your hospital. You know about your patients. You know what is really happening. Because of OnPassive, everything will be okay. I believe so. Yes. It is your determination, right? You're determined to do everything to help your patients, to
Yes.
help each and everyone. Because we all know that health is very important. Everything is important. But if you cannot take care of yourself, it's not good at all. I noticed you stated a lot of things. You presented a lot of stuff. I was so amazed, or should I say, I felt sorry about what is really happening, especially when patient comes in and some of them are just sitting and there's no space.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is,
Now
if I may ask, what is the potential to upgrade the facility, the surface, the staffs, and the rest?
So the gentleman before says that dream big, and I am a dreamer, and we are dreamers. We do have, one of the things that we are blessed with is that the hospital is on a large campus. In other words, we have land, we have space. So we do have space for expansion. Right adjacent to the maternity ward, there is space for expansion. I mentioned that our ladies in the delivery room do not have rooms for themselves. They labor on a bed separated by a curtain, and they are not able to have a husband or partner with them because there's no privacy. So you could not have 8 gentlemen in the space because in an emergency, the curtains are all over the place and there's just not enough privacy. And one of the things that we are aware is that women labor better if they have support. They labor better if they have their partner, their chosen birth partner. They actually have less pain, need less cesarean sections, need less pain relief. But we have just not been able to offer them not even the comfort of their husband because we don't have enough space. The situation is that you're in a cubicle with 4 laboring ladies divided by curtains. Wow. So a better solution would be to expand the labor ward, to have a few more beds, but also to expand the delivery area so that each patient would have a room. You know, even if it was a cubicle, but a cubicle, a semi, you know, even if the walls didn't go straight to the ceiling, but in such a situation that they could have their caregiver, even if you had to say that caregiver was a mom or a sister, you know. So we don't have a nurse's station in our delivery room. What? We don't. And it is something that every time I go into the nurse's station, it bothers me that my nurses, my midwives have nowhere. We have an old desk, a desk. I have been at the hospital for almost 20 years. That desk has been there since I arrived. So that you can imagine it, you can't clean it. It's wood. And all we have is this desk. Instead of having a nurse's station that you can sit at, you can do your notes at, that can be properly sterilized. So I am not satisfied with the labor ward at all. I think that we want our women to have dignity. We want our women to have privacy. We want our staff to have comfort because a comfortable staff are more effective. They are more efficient. There are less medical errors. They will treat your patient better. They will speak to your patient better. So you don't have a tired, exhausted nurse because, you know, her situation is not comfortable either. So yes, really and truly, we need a new labor ward. That's really where we should be going. But I'm new to the possibility of possibilities. I'm new to the possibility of possibilities. So, I'm accustomed to not being able to have much, and to have to work with what we have. But yes, there are many things that would improve the quality of the care that we give our women.
Wow. Thank you. I really respect you. I believe hopefully you're going to write down all the list of everything that you need.
Yes.
This is hopeless. This is unpassive. And hopefully we will work together. So because we
Awesome.
want those patients to be happy. And we need nursing station as well.
Yes, we definitely do. We
Thank you.
definitely do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Benny. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. And next we have Narelle Warkon from Australia.
Oh,
Wow,
wow.
Narelle, welcome.
Hi everyone. Narelle Warkon here from Mackay in Queensland, Australia. I want to say thank you, Gina Lever, for stepping up and helping Chris man the OBLES platform, because it is very important that we continue talking about and sharing with others about their different projects all over the world. Dr. Donna Marie, thank you so much for sharing from your heart. I have a question, but I just want to say I have had very preemie babies. All of my three were very preemie, my first being only 27 weeks gestation, weight of 900 grams 38 years ago. So it's very touch and go, and he needed very special care. He was ventilated for 9 weeks, collapsed lung, heart surgery, things like that. So I know the specialist field that you need. Here in Australia, we have it all available to us in a public system. Also, we have private available as well. But my question is around humidicribs and things like that, which is so important. You spoke of a little baby being born 600 grams and it eventually going home. At what stage was it agreed that the baby was big enough? Over here, the babies can be 5 pounds or have to be 5 pounds before they're able to go home. Was that mother sort of given the option to take the baby home? Was it big enough to take home? What sort of specialist care is around that? But I know that humidicribs are very, very expensive. Over here, I'm not quite sure what you have available there, but do you actually have humidicribs available there and the specialist care for those premature babies?
So I'm not a pediatrician, so I'm not sure what I'm not sure what a humidicrib is. I'm wondering, is it an incubator? Is it?
Yeah, like we call it a humidicrib here, but it's an incubator so that they're in a closed environment, like a hard plastic see-through where you can put your hands in. The nurses can do what they need to do to that baby if it's being fed through the nose, or whether they need oxygen. Oxygen is put into their heated because they can't retain their body heat.
Understood. So we do have some incubators. We do have we have a pediatric department, and we have what we call a special care baby unit. But we always need more. I know that, for example, we only have 2 ventilators. So there are times when you have a baby that needs a ventilator who cannot get a ventilator. There are times when you have babies that need to be in the incubator that cannot get an incubator. And for example, when we have a baby that's born on the maternity ward and we need to get that baby to the special care baby unit, we are the transport incubators. We just wrap up that little baby and run. We don't have a good portable incubator to take the baby in. So yes, we do have a special care baby unit, and yes, we do have incubators, but we are always short, and it's always a hustle. you know, can you get this baby on? Do we need to take that one off to put this baby on? And the baby that went home, I think that baby was just over 1,000 grams when the baby went home. I think that baby was still pretty small.
Yeah,
I think
very
that baby
small.
was still pretty
Very
small.
small. And again, you know, obviously the emotional side, you know, like it's quite traumatic to actually have a baby way earlier than full term, you know.
Yes.
So I know 38 years ago, I didn't get a lot of you know, like counseling or anything like that. It may have been available. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it wasn't offered to me as such. And I know that I helped many because my son was in hospital for 4 months before I got to bring him home. But, you know, that side of things as well is we're talking about the cervical cancer. It's very traumatic. Having a premature baby is very traumatic. Having a baby full stop is a little bit traumatic. But, you know, having those extra special care is really important, but it's the follow-up or it's the counseling around that trauma so that they don't go on. So do you also have, you know, those readily available counselors? I'm asking this, I know I'm very naive into what you have there in your country, but
yes,
it's just questions around because I know the situation of the trauma involved with those things. So do you have, you know, professional counselors or anything like that to help these ladies?
So thank you for the question, because it's a very pertinent question. We don't have enough. We tend to rely on our pediatricians and our nurses. We are always short of nurses. Our nurses are revered and we have our nurses leave is the short answer. I mean, our nurses go to the States, they go to Canada, they go all over the world. They're very prized, they're very well remunerated, much more so than we can remunerate them. So a constant distress is that we never have the quota of nurses that we're supposed to have. If you're supposed to have 6, you have 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 people call in. There people are doing double shifts. So even although we train lots of nurses, they leave at a really alarming rate. And we rely on these very same nurses. So for example, if I have a patient who I anticipate to deliver prematurely or has a malformation, a prenatal issue that I know will translate to a neonatal issue, I'll call the pediatric department and I say, please come and have a talk with this mommy. And if they can come, they will come. But if they're short-staffed and if they're under pressure and if they're busy with 30 babies and not enough staff, they will often say, Doc, I'm sorry, we can't come. You guys gonna have to just talk to that mommy, you know? So
I think, yeah, sorry.
We certainly don't have, to the best of my knowledge, counselors whose sole job is emotional support or whose sole job is, no, we don't have that. We have community midwives, we have hospital-based midwives, we have pediatricians, but a counselor, even we have to do everything. We have to be the lactation specialist, we have to be the counselor, we have to be the mommy sometimes, we have to be the parent sometimes, we have to do it all. We have to do it.
And I know that the industry all over the world is lacking those qualifications. Like you said, your nurses will leave, whether it's because of a better pay structure, qualifications where they can step up and do more in that field, and that's why they leave. So we really need to look at the base product of providing or having more nurses or people who want to step up and go into that nursing role, you know, and then on to maybe even more doctors and things like that. I know here in Australia, it's a sad situation sometimes when, you know, you can't get in to see a doctor for a week or whatever, and we think that's bad enough, you know. So I want to say thank you very much for bringing this forward, because my son, who is very much alive, and I praise God for that. However, he needed a lot of specialist care, you know, so he had always wanted to donate a humidicrib or incubator, as
wow.
you said, you know, to here in Australia, you know, but over here they're about $1 million. But I think we need to look further afield, and I ask everyone to open their minds about this, because I think it's important that we look at what is available to us here in Australia, America, Canada, wherever, but also like in your situation, you know, start there first, because what we have available here is probably never going to be enough, but it's plenty. Okay, where you have basically nothing, or certainly don't have the need, like what you need. What you want and what you need are two entirely different things. But I think it's very important that, you know, in that field, that you have what you need. And again, coming back to Academy and things like that, there's going to be, you know, readily available courses and things like that, where people can perhaps in your country step up to doing and getting a qualification. It may not be the qualification, but enough to be able to stand beside you and help you in those situations, you know, and fill in where they're needed. So I want to thank you very much for sharing with us today. It really is a privilege to have you here. And
Thank you so
thanks
much.
again for Gemma bringing you on. And thanks again, Janine, for allowing me to speak today. Thank you.
Narelle, those are fantastic points. I'm so glad you brought up Academy, because what a perfect use of Academy to train people into these roles that your staff is going to need, doctor. So that's a wonderful thing. And also, doctor, if you were maybe starting to think about a hierarchy of need, you know, that you could draft up as you're doing your notes, you know, saying this is absolutely critical, this is also critical, this is a nice to have, and on. And I think that would really help people get motivated, you know, to really go for those critical ones and take care of those needs. All right, we have Richard Lamotte from Canada. Richard, come on down and talk to us.
There we go. I love all you beautiful men, women, and children of the world from the bottom of my heart. Oh, my, Dr. Donna. I want to just grab you, give you a big hug and a big kiss right now. I'm involved with Dr. Okan Umana. We've got the road built. We've got the property. We're clearing the property right now.
Wow.
It's in Africa. I don't know exactly where, but we're building a hospital for there's 20 villages all around that will be able to come into our hospital because of all the women losing their lives and their babies because they're pregnant and all that. And it's going to be called On Passive, Save the Women and Children of the World.
Wow.
Now, Engineer Mike, a big hug and a big kiss to you too. You just got them a position. Well, that position should help pay for some of the equipment. Now, Lynn Nakamoto, you have some pending positions. I want to get one of those pending positions from you for Dr. Donna's hospital so that they can not only buy equipment, but can also get more apples to do more for the hospital. And that will warm my heart for the rest of my life to know that these women and children are being saved because of this position. So,
Wow.
so can you fix it, Lynn? And I will pay for the position.
Yes, certainly. We can have, we'll do a direct message in the chat with the doctor, okay? And then I'll give you my number and we can work it out.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So that's my gift, not only to you, but to the women and children of the world that are in need.
Thank you so much.
And I
Thank
would
you so
love to,
much.
I would love to be there and be able to have one of those babies in my arms and comfort it. Congratulations, Dr. Donna, for what you're doing, and thank you for being with us. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm giving you a big hug and a big kiss.
I'm hugging you right back.
Oh,
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Richard has a gigantic heart, especially for women and children. He's just one big heart. And I'm so grateful to you, Richard, for gifting her with that. That's wonderful. Wow, this is, I don't want to get emotional. Okay, our next speaker is Joyce Hicks. If you want to come down and ask your question or make a comment for the doctor here.
Thank you, Jean. You are doing an awesome job. So I just wanted to
Thank you.
congratulate you. It's like you're just a natural. So you're doing wonderful. So proud of you. So thank you for stepping in for Chris. You always do awesome. So like you've been doing this forever. So you were born to do this. So thank you, Jean. I'd just like to say, Dr. Donna Gray Henry, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. I just commend you for the work that you're doing for your heart, for people and for women. You have a huge heart. So God bless you, and you will be blessed tremendously for what you're doing, and just continue to do what you're doing, continue to be great, because you're at the right place at the right time. And Oblast is the right
Awesome.
yes, it's the right place to be in. And there's so much out there that Oblast will be able to do for you and for the people in Jamaica, for your hospital, and to get the equipment and everything that you need. So don't worry. I think Dr. Benny says, don't worry, you'll be okay. You'll be fine. And I understand and I can relate to this. My granddaughter was born premature, 1 pound, just 4 years ago. And I just can't even imagine not having the equipment and not having the people in place or anything in place to help her survive, and as well her mom. So, this is just so important what you're doing. I think it's a great thing that you reached out, and Jerma, thank you so much for bringing her to the forefront, so that we as Passivans and we as the Oblast family will be able to help and to do anything within our power. So I can really relate to that. And as Engineer Mike said, dream bigger. As Mr. Ashford tells us, it's like, whatever you dream and make it, 10x that. So I'm going to tell you to, 100 times that dream, because you were given a position and you are just totally blessed just from that. And then the one from Richard. So you'll be able to do so much. You'll be able to meet every need that's there within your community, within your hospital. And I that was the comment. So I do have, do you have follow-up is there follow-up for the patients and follow-up for the babies? I know you said you have pediatricians, but if someone needed something right then and there, is there follow-up available?
Yes, there is follow-up. I know they're always overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I see them, I see outside the pediatric department, if you pass, there's a bench and you see a little row of mommies with some little teeny tiny babies. So I know that they're all brought up, and our pediatrics department are amazing. I mean, it's a tiny department and they work really, really, really hard. So yes, there is follow-up. I know there's always more needed. I know that they're always exhausted. And I always feel a little guilty because I feel like obstetrics and gynecology, we're the supply, and we're kind of always, we look after the mommies, and then the babies pop out, and then we just hand them to the pediatricians and expect them to work their magic. So yes, there is follow-up. I'm sure that they would always want more in terms of manpower, but yes, there is follow-up. I'm not sure about things like therapies, because preemies sometimes have issues like, they need physical therapy and speech therapy and that sort of thing. I'm a little less sure about whether that sort of support is as robust as it should be. Because I do recall having a patient that I remembered so well because she was so young. She was such a young woman, 19, almost to me like a child. And she herself had this little one that was premature and had cerebral palsy. And, you know, talking with the family and explaining just how much it took to look after this child that had motor dysfunction and was hearing impaired and was vision impaired. I remember thinking to myself how her life had changed just because she, you know, she had a baby and she now couldn't work because she had to full-time care for the baby, for the toddler who was now a toddler, but not sitting up and not walking. So yes, I would imagine that there is need for greater support, but it would not be true to say that there is no support. There is support, but I'm sure that there are areas that could be improved.
Okay, thank you. That's so important. So thank you for answering that question. And
You're
I just want to say, I think Narelle said that counseling and therapy is so important, especially with the women that suffer from postpartum depression. And I can imagine just so many other things that go on after the trauma of, you know, having a premature child. So if there's anything, I'm a therapist and a counselor and I deal with mental health. If there's anything that I can do, I know within, you know, countries, there's limits that you can do with licensing and different things like that. But if there's anything I can do, I'd be glad to help you,
Thank
you
you
know,
so
to
much.
reach out for sure. And also for that support system for physical therapy and different things like that, that is lacking. I have a position. I would also like to offer that position for people that's in need of physical therapy, have children with traumas or having different needs, you know, some disabilities. I would love to do that for your hospital and for you guys. So, but thank you so much. Really appreciate you. And my heart is just really goes out for you. You are a godsend, a special person that is blessed to do this. So thank you again so much, Dr. Donna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joyce. And Doctor, we recognize in you that you are the real deal. And when people see someone who is genuinely giving of themselves, they want to give. They want to give to help. They want to help that. So you're seeing examples of that here. Thank you so much, Joyce, for that wonderful gift. Dr. Benny, since you've spoken once already, would you mind if we go with Nadu first? All right, Nadu, am I saying your name correctly? I hope so.
Yes, you did, Shan. We always play around that. Thank you very much to give me this opportunity to talk to our dearest Dr. Gray Henry. I just love your attitude, your positive energy will take you far than you think, because you don't even know what is on passive, what Engineer Mike gave you, but you took it and you are holding like it's an egg in your hand. I want to tell you, he gave you a golden egg.
Oh, golden I believe egg.
It. Yeah. And then the way you accept it, it makes other people give you more. If not, our brother for Canada will not come in. Our sister Joyce will not come in. Sister Benny will not come. So keep that and show what you show us, and you will reinvent the top and be at the extreme top the way you want to do it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I want to come to the cancer part. In the US, we have some of the difficulties too. And there are some companies, instead to have big machines, are doing the small one, like Color Guard. They will send you a kit to your house.
Yes.
You use it, you send it without going through all those protocols, and you have the results. Do you ever think about having something like that? to detect cancer. Because cancer is something, they will check your breast, they will check this part, but it's still in unless it's over your blood, and then we will find it at once. So what is the other way that you are expecting beside a big machine? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Excellent question. Excellent point, because cancer prevention is multifaceted. Cancer prevention and treatment is multifaceted. So in Jamaica, we have education campaigns because we know that we have a high risk of cervical cancer. So in Jamaica, we teach our patients that they should have a pap smear done every year. I was trained in the UK, and in the UK, a pap smear is done every 3 years. And in some countries, depending on the screening test, even every 5 years, depending on, other factors. But in Jamaica, we ask our ladies to have a pap smear every year. And the reason we do this is because we know that the risk of cervical cancer is high. We know that ladies sometimes may forget. They may not have the money to do the pap smear. So if you tell them to do it every 3 years, they may do it every 2 years. And at least you have a better chance of picking it up than if you tell patients every 3 years, then they'll forget for 5 years. When it comes to breast cancer, we teach our patients about self-examination. And we teach our patients that they should self-examine the breast, that most breast cancers are discovered by the patient herself. And so we place a lot of emphasis on education. So whenever we meet our patients, wherever we meet our patients, we try to explain to them all the things that you can do to mitigate your risk. When it comes to bowel cancer, I don't think we have the at-home testing as you do in the States. So at the moment, as far as I know, you do have to go to a lab and be tested at a lab. And I think bowel cancer is something that we probably need to teach our patients more about, because it is a very significant risk. It's much higher than most patients realize. For gentlemen, I know we're talking about the ladies here and the babies, but for gentlemen, prostate is quite a high prevalence in Jamaica. And we struggle because culturally, our gentlemen do not have good health-seeking behavior. They don't want to go to the doctor. They don't want to have a rectal exam, a prostate exam, because they find it culturally, unacceptable. And so prostate cancer is another thing that we struggle with. So for each type of cancer, I think you have to deal with it a little bit differently depending on what exactly you're dealing with. But I fully agree with you that it's better to prevent than to cure. And if you can't prevent, it's better to detect early than to detect late. And that is why the colposcopy unit is so important, because cervical cancer is one of those cancers that is very amenable to early detection and early treatment. And I feel really badly every time I see a patient with advanced cervical cancer, because you just wish that you could just go back in time. If you could only just go back in time 5 or 6 years, you could have saved this patient. And here she is 5 or 6 years later, suffering from what is essentially a preventable illness and dying, But we almost always have at least 2 or 3 patients with advanced malignancy on our gynecology ward at any one time.
Anyway, thanks a lot. Thanks for everything that you are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nadu. Next,
You're
I'd like to
welcome.
call. I'd like to call Tina Go. We're going to try get everybody that has not asked a question first, and then we'll go back to Dr. Benny and Bruce, if that's all right.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from the Offensive family. I love you all. My name is Tina Jago, and I am your friend. I always forget to say this, but I'm trying to be composed here today. I came in a little late, and I didn't know exactly what it is that was wanting, but the hearing going on afterwards, I thank you, Dr. Donna Marie Gray Henry, for being here and reaching out to us. You have come to the only place that could bear any fruits for what the cause that you have. I love you, and I must say, I'm coming out here after all the people that with the greatest gigantic heart, like Jean was saying, that I can't say much more, but I wish to confirm what Narelle had said earlier with regards to emotional therapy. I'm a life coach, I'm certified life coach, but I always tell my people that I'm a life learner. And because of all the experiences that we have in life, I started out with a young marriage, hopeful of being a mother of many children because I come from a nine sibling families. And so I wanted that for myself as well. But as God Almighty has it, it didn't come true. But my resilience and what you have with the resilience in your course is the same. I'm blessed with 2 beautiful adult children right now, but I had 6 failed pregnancies and with stillborns and with so that emotional therapy for a mother who's having a child and being sick or cancer stricken, and it's so important, and especially so if she has lost a baby at birth. And that's where I come in, being a life learner. And I hope to help in any way that I can, be there in Jamaica with you, with the moms who needs that kind of help. I'll be here. And also at the same time, I wish to thank Gemma Remeke. Thank you for bringing her on here. And I too have been buying Pending Founders to give to people, and I would love that Lynn, you give me another one, please, to give to Dr. Donna Marie. Thank you so much. That's all. I can't say much, but I know that I'm here. God has sent me here to listen to your cause and to reach out my little hands to you. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I love you all.
Thank you.
Wow, Tina. That really touched me. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing that. I know, don't get me started. Okay, we're going to quickly move on to Listra. Can you unmute yourself and share some words or comment or question for the doctor, please?
Hello, everyone again.
Hello.
Dr. Gray, I am Gemma's sister.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I have a question. In the event that there's a crisis, because you said that the birthing room is usually a drawn curtain there, right? And they have to have that baby right there. In the event of a crisis with the mother or the baby, and you or whoever's in charge reaches out for help and there's no one to come, as you said, of shortage and so on, what happens? Like, I can't wrap my head around that. What happens in an event like that?
So we have to use what we have. We have to use what we have. We have to always focus on what we have. So in an emergency, we have to use the staff that we have, and we have to use the facilities that we have. honestly, privacy is a luxury sometimes we cannot afford. So it is true that if we have a mom that is needing to be rushed to a cesarean section or is having a hemorrhage, we have to just open those curtains up so that we can look after her, which is why we're not able to have her husband or her mom or someone with her, because at any time we may need to just sort of look after that mom. And the staff that we have, they just all have to work. Even if it's a question that we're severely understaffed. I mean, we've had days where we're supposed to have 6 or 7 midwives and we only have 4 or we only have 3. We can't focus on that. We can't say in a crisis we should have more. That's not the time. At the time, we just have to focus on preserving that mom's life. We have to do everything we can for that mom, that baby at that time. So to be honest, you just go into action mode at that time. You don't have time to think. You just have to try to do everything you have to do to get what you need done.
Right, right. Oh, I find that incredible. And I have to commend you. I mean, your attitude is just incredible. You're there and you can talk about this and you still, you have that drive, you have that love, you have that, you can smile. So yeah, you're doing great. Congratulations. Congratulations. And we're here. We're all here to help. And things will look better. It will get better. And you will be so blown away. You will be.
Wow.
I promise you. I promise you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Lystra. Okay, back to Dr. Benny. And I do want to say, if we could hold off after Bruce, no more hands for right now, because we do have a second speaker tonight and we want to give him a chance to speak and have some comments from his discussion. So Dr. Benny, if you could unmute and share your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you. Just short and sweet question. Short. Thank you. Dr. Gray Marie.
Yes.
First of all, I love your smile, just like mine.
Yes.
I know that because of the way you talk and your hard work, I know that you do pray all the time before you go to the hospital, right? Because our God is with you. Yes, taking care of those patients. You mentioned something about machines or equipment. One thing to get the machine or the equipment, but do you have professionals to do the job? If so, what about the fundings?
What about funding for professionals?
Yes, please, to do the job, to take care, let me say if you have the machines to take care of the children, like the cervical cancer and the rest, do you really have the professionals to do the job and the funding?
So that is a difficult question to answer, and I'll explain why. For example, in our obstetric department, we have got consultants, we have got attendings like myself who are trained in colposcopy and who are able, Dr. Blair, who has been listening in on the conversation, he hasn't said much, but my colleague, Dr. Blair, we are trained in the use of the colposcopy and in able to use it to diagnose and to treat. So I would say that, yes, we do have specialists, for example, for the colposcopy unit. As I explained, we struggle with our nursing cadre. And specialist nurses, for example, nurses to work in the operating theater. There have been days when we've gone to the operating theater and the doctors are there and you can't do the case because the operating theater nurse, you have no operating theater nurse, or you have no recovery room nurse. This is not uncommon for us. Or you start late because the nurse that was on duty the night before and she has to get a break because she's doing 2 shifts back to back. So in terms of in terms of manpower, we have a greater challenge with nursing staff, I would say, than with even medical staff, because, you know, our nursing staff migrate and they leave. So in terms, I think that the challenge for us would be specialist nurses, midwives, counselors, paramedics is more of a problem even than doctors. My hospital does not have an oncologist, which is a cancer care specialist. Even though we look after patients with cancer, we look after patients with cervical cancer, we look after patients with uterine cancer, but we do not have a cancer specialist. There are cancer specialists in Kingston, which is an hour and a half away, but it's a cumbersome system to have a patient on a bed, and then you have to put them in an ambulance to send them to Kingston to a clinic or something. So one of the things that we look forward to is to having a cancer specialist, a gynecology cancer specialist in our hospital. I'm not quite sure how the training mechanisms for that would go, but this is one of the things that we think would improve the quality of care, you know, if we had such a person. There's certain operations, certain surgeries that really need to be done, not just by a general gynecologist like myself, but a gynecology oncologist, who for them, all they do is cancer care. And we look forward to perhaps having that one day at Mandeville.
By the grace of God, you will have it.
Absolutely.
Amen. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benny. And now, Bruce, would you share your words with us before we switch to our next speaker?
Okay, Sister Donna Marie. I call you sister rather than doctor.
That's true.
What all the things you've said, you've resonated so much with the hearts of people here. Look at what they've done. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. I told you before, think big. You just talked about many things that you need.
Yes.
But we were becoming a founder. There are now just under 1.5 million founders in the world. Many of them will be test for what you need in Jamaica. And even if only 25% of them give you $1 to your cause, you could have many machines. You could hire the best staff that you need. But the big thing for me to suggest that you do is have a wish list and think big and think of everything you need, because everything, one of the slogans in OnPassive is uplifting humanity. And we want to uplift your spirit in Jamaica. How are we going to do it? We uplift you, we uplift the health and the welfare of the children there, the people there, the wives that all the people need help. And help you fight cancer and do all those things. And all those things are possible because, again, in God's world, there are no limitations. So I want you, this is a little assignment, just make a list of all the things that you need, because in time, on Bliss, we'll be able to provide the funding that you will need for that. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Again, many blessings to you, many blessings to your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the thing that's, you know, Jamaican founders, you know, I don't know any off the top of my head, but I'm sure they're around. And just by your sharing tonight, it's like word spreads. And there may actually be, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have, you know, in the ranks of the foundership. So there may be somebody that could fill a need who's a founder. We just don't know. But so there are just so many ways that, because you've shared your story here, the word is going to spread and people will start to seek more ways to help you out. All right, I would love to have our other guest, Dr. Orville Blair, if he wanted to raise his hand and share a few words with us in tandem with Dr. Gray Henry. or on his own. I'm not sure exactly what he was going to share specifically, or just to add on to what you've already said. Dr. Blair, are you here? I see that you're here, but I'm not sure if you're here.
So he is here, but I think he wanted me to do the speaking on his behalf. Dr. Blair is the head of department in obstetrics and gynecology at Mandeville Regional Hospital. So I know he would have listened with fascination and excitement like myself to everything that was said. I want to thank you all so much for the invitation. It was lovely to come and to tell you about our hospital and about our patients and about our babies and about our ladies. And thank you for being as excited as we are about offering them better care, because yes, it is our passion. It is our passion to ensure that everyone that we come in contact with get what they deserve, which is the best care that we can offer. And we're very excited to have your partnership in that endeavor. Thank you so much, Gemma, for giving me this opportunity and for linking us up like this. It's extremely exciting, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen and to be able to update you all and to tell you, what we have been able to create together.
May I say something, Jeannie?
Absolutely. We have a half an hour left in our regularly scheduled meeting, so we could have more people raise their hands and have comments. But absolutely, Gemma, please, I would love to know more about how you met the doctor.
Well, to be honest, she is related to my husband. And I met her
wonderful.
And I met in Jamaica years ago, and we don't keep in touch as much as we should. But the last time, 2019, I had a little too many lollipops and I fell down the stairs. I sprained my ankle and had to come home with a boot. So Donna provided the boot for me and the wheelchair and everything for me to get on the airplane to get back home. Lystra, you did not know this information, but there you go. So I just want to thank Donna for accepting my invitation. And I didn't know much about the hospital, and all you people that offered her positions. I will get in touch with Chris and talk to Chris about it. And before I send all her information to you guys, including Mike and Dr. Benny and I think was Joyce and Richard. So I would talk to Chris about it, and I would talk to Lynn and Julie and get all the information you guys need to get Donna these positions. Okay. Thanks again, Donna. Love you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gemma. Wow. I mean,
By
you
the
are
way,
really batting 1,000 with your guest speakers.
She's a really good cook too. Every time I go to Jamaica, I get a meal from her. She's a fantastic cook.
Well, then you'll have to get together with fellow founder Red Redfern, who is a chef. You can talk food. He would love that. He would love that.
Thanks, Liz.
Well, I tell you what, so now we have a little bit more time if we'd like to discuss more, if people have more comments about some ideas they have for the doctor or anything on this kind of a topic, you can go ahead and raise your hands. And if Dr. Blair decides he wants to share anything, he can absolutely raise his hand also.
Come on, Dr. Blair, I'd like to meet you.
Yes, this is about the safest, most loving environment you'll ever find. So, okay, Tina, do you have some more to say to us?
Yeah, I just want to say that having someone there just to hold the hand of a person, of a mom who have lost a child or with a pre-med child and wondering how she's going to live life thereon, is so important. I didn't have that for myself, and I knew that this is something that I must do. So I'll be there in Jamaica before you know it, but I got to retire first.
Okay, we'll see you then. You look very young. I don't think you're retiring anytime soon.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Tina. Oh, hold on. Wait. Okay,
Yeah,
now.
I'm good now. I'm good now. Yeah. Well, I just celebrated my 64th birthday last week, actually.
No way.
Amazing.
So,
Well, happy birthday.
thank you. Officially, the official date, retirement age is next year. So, but then again, with what's coming on with passive, I'll be there earlier than you know it. Inshallah, as we say in Islam, God willing. Woo!
Absolutely, Tina. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And now we have Patience. Patience, are you able to unmute?
I am.
Hello.
Good
So good to
evening,
have you
everyone.
here.
Thank you. I'm so blessed to be in Unpassive. I'm not going to say right now how I got into Unpassive because I'm preserving it, and God willing, I would have a good day to tell that story. But I just wanted to express my gratitude for Dr. Donna Marie. All the stories she's told us, the presentation she's made of the various departments, all the scenarios that she's brought up. I have everything in my head because I've gone through everything she said, either myself or my family member. And Tina was just stressing the importance of having some emotional counselors around. It's really so important. I'm glad she mentioned that several times. I wanted to also make a comment that since Dr. Marie is already a founder, there is no way that there will not be success for the hospital. And I just wanted to also add that in the educational part, I can find some of the oncologists that would be able to guide for the educational part of the hospital. And with me growing and setting up my own section of OBLESS, I'll be able to help for some of the education also, especially for the junior staff. Yeah, because I've been a medical assistant for about 18 years. So I have a little bit of knowledge. And then to make matters even better, my junior sister is currently doing her internship for medical practice. And she's so much interested in gynecology and pediatrics. So there's help on the way.
Thank you.
There's help on the way all over. But thank you so much. You have so much passion in what you do. And I have been through so much trauma in the hospitals and everywhere. I just can't imagine if every patient had you for their doctor and stuff like that. They'll just be healing in 2 days' time. Yeah. I have a question though.
Thank you.
Right now, I'm not sure of how much education your mothers get, like those who are having preemies and stuff like that. If they have preterm babies, I'm not sure how you all are able to tackle that. I don't know if you have any information about how you guys do that.
So all our mommies go to, most of our mommies come through our antenatal clinic, which is a public clinic. And at the public clinic, we talk a lot about things like breastfeeding. We are a baby-friendly hospital, a certified baby-friendly hospital. So we're big about breastfeeding, and we recognize that most mommies will decide on how they will feed their babies from the antenatal period. So if the first time you're talking about breastfeeding is when the mommy comes to the ward, you're too late. She's already made up her mind already. So we start that conversation from the antenatal clinic, telling moms about the benefit of breastfeeding and, you know, supporting them in their decision, we hope to breastfeed. And so that there's a lot of education around that. In terms of moms who have babies who are born prematurely, as I think I was explaining earlier, we would identify those moms if we could, because some preterm babies turn up completely unexpected. You know, the pregnancy is going along and all of a sudden you're in labor and out comes the baby with no warning at all, in which case you really don't have a chance to prepare mom. But wherever we can predict it, we do try. I think it could be more robust, but we do try. The pediatric team are really fantastic. They're small. They're small. It's a tiny group, but they really do try. They try to, you know, talk to the moms, talk to the parents, and give as much support as they can. But it is not as much as we wish it was. In terms of cancer care, again, the support is not as much as we wish it was, because I think the fact that the doctors and nurses who are involved in the clinical care are the same persons who are trying to give the support, instead of having counselors and a support team whose responsibility is support. Oftentimes we get self-absorbed, we get absorbed in just trying to, you know, keep the mommy alive, keep the baby alive. And once you've done that, move on to the next patient, the next emergency. And we can't always be there to sort of hold the hand and support. So I do think that the support systems are not as robust as we wish they were. You know, if you do have a loss, my colleague who was explaining about her, the fact that she had experienced stillbirth, a stillbirth is an extremely painful thing to go through. And we do have a chaplain in the hospital, and we do have a social worker, but one social worker for the entire hospital and one chaplain for the entire hospital. So you can see that the ratios are probably not as good as they could be.
You're muted, Patience. Can you unmute yourself? Oh, hold on, just a second.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that explanation. I just wanted to assure you that I'm certain you already got some founding positions which are going to be enormous help. But when it comes down to the hands-on, when time comes, I'll also be there to help with all staff. I have got good experience, several years of experience also in human resources. So I'll be there to give a hand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, because you need to get more staff, of course, and the resources will be there. So it's nothing to talk about anymore. Yeah,
thank you, Patience.
You're welcome. Thank you.
May I say something again?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Donna Marie does not know anything about OnPassive, really, besides I asked her to come on this. So I've got to explain to her how it works. Okay, so after I do that, I will get the information that you guys need from her. It wouldn't be fair to give you guys the information and she doesn't know anything at all. I mean, I know all of you can explain to her, but I prefer to do it myself if you guys don't mind.
No,
thank you.
Absolutely, yes. Anybody who has offered to gift the doctor tonight, please connect directly with Gemma. before taking any action. So she can do as she just explained. So thank you so much.
Thank
for that.
you.
All right, do we have any more raised hands, any more comments for our guest speakers tonight? I know it's probably pretty overwhelming, Doctor.
It is. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not sure what I have received, but I believe it's a good thing.
It is definitely a good thing. And you know what? We don't want to overwhelm you. Gemma will explain it beautifully to
I
you.
believe it.
It's one of those things when we all joined, you know, it was, you know, it's one of those things where you think, wow, it almost sounds too good to be true. But then you join the journey and you learn more, and it just becomes part of the fabric of who you are. And then you just start to, as everyone has said, to dream bigger, to just relax into the knowledge that things that we never dreamed could have been taken care of are going to be over time, you know, and it's just a beautiful thing. Okay, we have Karina Lance from Canada. Please come on down and share some words.
Thank you, Jean. I appreciate it.
Hello.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to say thank you, Engineer Mike, Richard, and Sister Joyce, for the positions that you're giving to Dr. Gray and what you're doing for her. I know she doesn't realize, but soon she will. But thank you as well, Dr. Gray, for coming on here. I'm just blown away. I'm just listening, and I love this very much. All of you. You know, it warms my heart to know that what we're going to do for you and for a lot of people. So thank you for coming, and thank you for being here. And thanks to all of you. I love you all very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk.
It's always a pleasure to hear you talk, Karina. And thank you for being one of the early adopters of this beautiful company movement. It's people like you that have been in from the beginning that have made it possible for those of us who came later. And so thank you for that. All right, next we have Jake Fish. I know you're going to have something amazing to say.
Hello, everybody. Okay, there's a company named Ventana Roche, and they developed a instrument called a symphony. And what they do is they can stain up to 600 slides a day with no cross-contamination.
Wow.
And they have a, yeah, it's really good. And they have a reagent, you know, they nicknamed Blue Goo, which goes in and phosphorizes at the cellular level. If there's any cancer present, it phosphorizes. So the oncologists love this machine.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
this instrument came out probably a few years ago, and there may have been some advances, but this is something where, you know, someone, you know, can have zero cross-contamination.
Wow.
So if you're treating someone for cancer, because, you know, the old method was dip and dunk, and there could be a cell from someone else that has cancer in it, but it migrates over to the other cells, and they start treating someone for cancer, and they died, but they didn't have cancer. But this instrument has zero cross-contamination.
Wow. That's
And
fascinating.
one of the things, you know, when you're screening for cancer is the weight and the worry.
Yeah.
But this instrument can determine whether someone has cancer within an hour, within an hour's time.
Wow.
And it's called the Symphony. And it's from Ventana Roche. No, Ventana Roche, I'm sorry. And they're based out of Yes.
I was just going to say, if you would, after you're done speaking, if you could type that into the chat so we get the correct spelling of what you're talking about, that would be
Thank you.
fantastic.
Sure, no problem. It's, they're based out of Arizona, Aurora Valley. And that's like the, the medical, industry is in Aurora Valley in Arizona. And that
Thank
way
you very-
you can determine what kind of cancer it is, how to treat it, and so much, doctor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for telling me about that.
And that's
I'll
it.
certainly research it some more. Yes, thank you so much, because I did not know about that.
Yes, no trouble. I was going to be an engineer for the company, and I interviewed for, I was going to be in Colorado, and I interviewed for Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is very expensive, and I would be house poor. So, and they actually canceled the program as far as being, as far as on-site engineers. So we could go out and work on the symphony before it would break. And you can also remotely, with the symphony, you can remotely do tech support with the
Right.
instrument. So that's a cool thing.
Fascinating, fascinating.
But I'll type it into the, not a problem, doctor.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering about, I'm just wondering about, DNA therapy. I mean, if we can come up with a super gene that can go in and, identify cancer cells and zap them. Is
Yes.
that possible?
It's not, as far as I know, it's not currently possible. But the thing about cancer therapy is that it is rapidly evolving. And historically, chemotherapy was basically toxic. What you would do was give the patient a toxin that would kill the cancer cells, but would cause terrible anemia, the white cell counts it would hit the bone marrow, the hairs fall off, the lashes fall off, the nails fall off. You're literally giving this patient poison to try to save their lives. But it's absolutely fascinating to watch the evolution of oncology and more specific surgical strikes that are able to tag cancer cells and go after particular cells. So I think it's just a fascinating time to watch for the evolution of cancer care. Unfortunately, a lot of the newer cancer drugs are extremely expensive and therefore prohibitive. But I always look forward to the fact that even if they're very expensive now, perhaps in 5 or 10 years, they'll be less expensive. So I'm sure we all dream that eventually cancer will not be as scary as it is now, that more and more options for safe chemotherapy will evolve. And there are some, there are some already that have totally transformed cancer care.
Well, there's also a natural alternative called bloodroot, and is a plant which has a chemical in it called neoplazine. And neoplazine, what it does is it seeks out cancer and it surrounds it and does an artificial fever of over 400 degrees, and it zaps the cancer. I've actually used this in veterinary medicine, the neoplazine, and it works. And it's a plant called bloodroot.
Wow.
And the problem is the FDA, can't make money off of something that's grown naturally. And I've had some cancer, I've had some cancer success stories, through my dogs. who have had cancer. And the veterinarian, she gave them bloodroot and it killed the cancer.
Wow.
And it's something natural, and it didn't have any adverse side effects like chemotherapy, like the hair, the hair falling off and so on and so forth. And, the kidneys and the liver.
Yes.
And that's another thing, that we can look in is do natural therapies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, the world is our oyster as far as developing things going forward, because all of the inventors and creative, medical staff, it will be able to fund research. We'll be able to explore these remedies, and we won't be suppressed in any way. We'll have the freedom to do it. And that's just a whole other side benefit of OnPassive. Okay, we have one more question and comment. Thank you so much, Jake. That was amazing as always. One more comment from Joyce. And then we're gonna...
Not a problem. Anytime I can contribute.
Thank you. And then we're going to wrap it up after Joyce. Thank everybody for coming. Joyce, would you like to unmute and share some last thoughts?
Yes, I would just like to say, Dr. Gray, as you were talking about the expenses of cancer, I totally agree. I have a family member, actually, my husband had cancer, and his treatment was like $10,000 per month per treatment. So it's very expensive. So being in the United States being expensive, and I know it's very difficult in Jamaica or other countries as well. And as Jeannie was saying, like with all the research going forward, and Jake was saying, there are things that are being developed, and you were saying that it's moving so rapidly, but with OnPassive and OBlessed, we'll be able to do that, like to help to do all this research and hopefully one day alleviate cancer and find a cure for it. And I know a lot of the things that's out there, doctors the insurance companies can't make money. So of course, they don't promote it. So I just like to say that, yes, definitely with everything that's going on, we'll be able to help in so many ways to help patients with treatment. So I experienced that firsthand. The expense is very, very expensive, $10,000 a month. But he's a survivor. So, God blessed him and healed him. So, just so thankful for that, and my faith is just, my faith is just over the top, because I believe that God is a healer. And I know with the patients that you have, I believe that can happen as well too. So again, thank you so much. Thank you, Jean, Lynn, everyone, for the supporting my sister and friend, Jean. You did a wonderful job. Thank you again. Just love you guys to pieces, and just look forward to meeting everyone, and so look forward to having you as a founder as well, Dr. Gray Henry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. All right, well, we have a few minutes left. We're going to wrap up. I would love to once again thank the doctors for joining us today. Thank you, Gemma, for bringing our wonderful guest speakers tonight. Thank you to all the co-hosts, Lynn Nakamoto, Marty DeGarmo, John Barilla, Bruce Gerstein, Listra Tuak, Casey Zevenbergen. Have I forgotten anyone? I hope I haven't. Thank you all for making this possible. Thank you to everyone, watching the chats, even that aren't chat guardians, to make sure that everything out on YouTube has been, positive and accurate. And we could not do this without you. I hope everyone got something out of tonight's discussion. It was absolutely amazing. We've just got so many ideas about how we can help this hospital in Jamaica. And Dr. Gray Henry, did you have any final words for us?
Yes, certainly. So thank you so much for accommodating me on this amazing platform. It is true that I don't think I fully understand the scope of what it is that you're trying to do and that you're going to accomplish. but I'm looking at the banner across that's behind you, and it says lifting up of humanity across the globe. And I'm looking on the chat and I'm seeing 113 participants. Well, I guess subtracting myself and Dr. Blair, that's still 111. And I'm realizing that this is over 100 persons who are interested in lifting up humanity across the globe. So I really want to thank you for the invitation and thank you for thinking of collaborating in this amazing way. I really do believe that anything is possible by the power of faith and community, and that there are many needs, but that we are strong, and that if we come together, we can make a difference. So thank you so much for the invitation. I've enjoyed spending my evening with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And it wasn't just the 100 you see here. It was live streamed across 20 YouTube channels. And the recording of this will be shared in our back office. So potentially over 1 million people could see this video. And it's very exciting. And I know it's going to inspire everyone who watches it. So thank you so much again. And Lynn, did you have any words for us as we close up?
Well, I wanted to thank you for hosting. You did a really good job. You know, you're just like, as everyone says, you're natural. You're able to bring out people when they speak, get them to speak a little bit more. So it's just, that's a gift that you have. So I'm glad that we've discovered you and that you're willing, you know, you have the heart to help other webinars. So thank you so much for what you do. It's really special. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It's an honor and a privilege. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without great examples of leaders like you and Milo and everybody else that has, and Chris Johnson, oh my goodness, and Red Redford and Marty DeGarmo, and everybody who has given just an exemplary example of being a leader, being patient, being, I don't have enough words for the people. I'm blown away by the leaders in this company, and I know you all know what I'm talking about. I'm glad to step up on these occasions, but I really don't have the stamina to do what you do, Lynn. Oh my goodness. Well, I think we can wrap this up. Lynn, how does Chris usually do this at the end? Is it a quick goodbye and a closing up of the recording, or what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, he usually he keeps it on the gallery. So I took it to the gallery now, and everybody can say bye-bye to one another. Can I mute them? That would be nice. Are you ready? All right. Everyone say aloha to each other.
Aloha.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Birdie.
Great job,
Kaylee.
Good, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Love you all.
Cheese Bergen.
Thank you so much, Tina.
Bye, John.
Good job,
Thank you
Marilla.
to Engineer Mike and
Bye, everyone.
Engineer
Next
Mike,
weekend,
Friday,
Joyce.
Tuesday.
Thank you, everyone, for your generosity.
Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Have a
Jean.
good night.
Bye, doctors.
Good
Bye, everyone. Bye, Gemma.
Bye, guys.
Gemma.
Thank you, Gemma, for bringing